Okay guys, Private Jack, welcome to part 8 of my series on how to take a valve model, decompile it, get it into Blender, fiddle around with it a little bit, and get it back into Source FilmMaker. In this session, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Gimp and creating the new skins for our model that we're working with. First off, to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to need a reference for our skins that we can use to determine the scale that they have to be to get them to fit properly on the model. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch Blender. And of course I've already got it running, so let's kill that session. We're going to launch Blender. Open our project, and I can do it right here from the recent files on the splash screen. So here's our picture, and this is the thing that we want to edit. And we want to create a UV reference for this particular picture that we can use in Gimp. So up here, I'm going to grab that corner again, and I'm going to split the screen. I'm going to kill off these menus here. So whatever screen I have my mouse over is the active screen in Blender. So T to turn that off, N to turn that off, T to turn that off, and N to turn that off. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change this to the UV image editor. And let's see, from there I'm going to right click on the object and put it into edit mode. I'm going to open up my materials panel. I'm going to select the first material and click on select to select the mesh. So this is the mesh that we have left over from that original model that we were playing with. And if you remember, we've got all these burn marks and back marks and everything else. We don't want that. We just want a pure white texture to frame our picture with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my mouse over the UV editor and press A to select all the mesh. Come down here to the menus bar and select UVs. And I'm going to export the UV layout. Looking over here, I have a whole bunch of options that I can play with. I can change the image type to whatever I want, EPS, SVG, or PNG. And let's see, I can change the size. And for this, I'm going to want a texture that is 1024 by 1024. Valve VFTs must be scaled to the power of 2, meaning that the size of the model can be 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 2056, or 256, 512, 1024, 2048, and then 4K, yada yada yada, all the way up. But the scale must be to the power of 2. I can differentiate those scales like 1024 by 512 or 2048 by 1024 or 1024 by 64, whatever. But the actual dimensions have to be to the power of 2. For the actual opacity of this particular UV, I want to set that to 1 so that it's 100% opaque. That way I can use this image, use the backgrounds of this image to make selection easier. So I'm going to set that to 1. And now I'm just going to export a PNG file. And I'm going to call this pbadge underscore UV. PNG and export the UV layout. Now what I'm going to do is deselect that particular mesh, go down to the next material and select that. I'm going to hit A over the UV editor to select the mesh so that it's all selected, and do the same thing. UV, export UV layout. Make sure that my image size is 1024 by 1024 and that my opacity is 1. Come up here, change the file name to, I don't know, Decal underscore UV. Hit enter and export the UV layout. And I'm putting this back into that photo projects folder. Export, and there we go. So now that that's done, I haven't changed anything in the model. I can just exit Blender, and now I can load Gimp. Before I load Gimp, these are the 4 pictures that I want to use as my skins for that particular model. And now I load Gimp. Okay, now that Gimp's loaded, the first thing I want to do is I want to load all these pictures up. And I want them to be individual instances in Gimp. So file open, and I'm going to open the badge UV. I'm going to open up the Decal UV, and because I can't really float between folders and make selections, I'm going to open those 2 first. So there they are. Then I'm going to go back to my desktop, file open, and back to my desktop, and I'm going to pick up these 4 pictures and open them. Okay, so there are the pictures that I want to put on the Decal screen, and I want to repaint the actual photo frame so that it's pure white, and basically that's all I want to do with it. So first thing I'm going to do is select the frame instance. I'm going to change my color palette to white. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab the select by color tool, and I'm going to click on the transparent section of this particular picture. From there I'm going to select and invert the selection so that now this area here is all selected. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a brush. Over here, I'm going to change the brush type to a solid, and I'm going to change the size so I'm not painting all day. And then, let's see, back into the layers, I'm going to create a new layer by right-clicking on the layer and creating a new layer, and I'm going to make it transparent. Say OK to that. Make sure that layer is selected and start painting. Now I could sit here and add little lines and make an outline on this thing, but for this particular tutorial, it's not about the quality of the model, it's how it's actually done. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this UV layer so that only this layer is visible, and file, export, and put it back in that folder as pbadge new. It's a ping file. I'm going to export that, and there we go. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the deco layer, or the deco picture. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back into my select by color tool. I'm going to select the transparent layer, and I'm going to inverse the selection. Invert. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one of the pictures. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Come back here. That's why it didn't work. First off, I'm going to select that picture and I'm going to edit, copy the picture, come back to this this picture, and I'm going to edit and paste. There we go. Now, can I do this? I should be able to move that selection around within the actual selected layer. And if I find that it isn't quite small enough, I should still be able to edit or scale that pasted layer. And I want to make sure that my proportional editing is turned on. And I want the height to be 1024. I'm going to apply that scale. I'm going to go back. I'm going to select the picture and move it around so that I don't have any transparencies left over. Just like that. And that looks like it's good enough for me. Now what I can do is I can actually create a new layer. And what I'm going to do is make sure that select the transparency, invert the selection, click on the pasted layer, and what I want to do is I want to scale this layer, auto crop. That's what I want. I want to auto crop it to the selected area. And I don't think that worked. Okay, come back in here, turn that off, select that. Come on, stop playing around with me. There we go. Do the inversion. Come up here and make sure that's selected. And layer, crop to selection. That's what it is. There we go. So now I have that actually sitting inside the actual area that is going to be displayed on the picture when I bring it back. I'm going to do the same thing to the other pictures. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to pick up this one. I'm going to edit, copy. I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to edit, paste as, edit, paste as a new layer. So there we have it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move this picture around. And I think the rule of thirds is good, like that. And I'm going to layer, crop to selection. There we go. And again with the next one, edit, copy, back into this, right click, edit, paste as new layer, grab my move tool, move it around a little bit. Now this is a little bit bigger than what I want it to be, so I'm going to grab the scale layer, the scale tool. I'm going to click on the layer. It's not going to let me do it now, is it? Cancel. Cancel. Let's delete this layer. Go back into this picture, edit, copy, come back over here, edit, paste as, paste into paste. Let's just paste it for now. Okay. So this is a little bit bigger than what I want it to be, and because it's a floating selection, I should be able to scale it. Like so. Make sure that proportional editing is turned on, and let's just scale it down a little bit. Don't want it too small so that it falls outside the selection area. And in the scale mode, I can pick up on the center and move this around a little bit more. And I think that that might be good right there. Scale it. I'm going to now to new layer. There we go. And the final one is, of course, the medic wolf. Edit, copy, in here, edit. Oh, I know what I forgot to do here. I forgot to scale that or crop it. We'll do that in a sec. Paste. Why am I not seeing you now? Delete that one. Go back and do that again. Edit. Copy. Come back into here. Edit. Paste into. Hate it when a plan falls apart. Might have to do with this. Let's do this. Okay, paste layer 1. Okay. Turn that back on. Hide that. Select transparent. Come on. Transparent. Select invert. Turn that one back on. Turn that off. Move that up here. And what we're going to do is layer. Crop to selection. Okay, that's got that one done. Come back in here. Select all. There we go. Okay, edit. Copy. Come back in here. Edit. Paste. There we go. We got it working now. Select my move tool. Grab the image. I'm going to shrink this one down a bit too. Select it. Now we're going to change that to 1024. Scale it. Now let's move it around a bit. Just like that. That looks good. Okay, so now layer. New layer. And then layer. Okay, I lost the selection. I got to come back in here again. Turn that one off, turn that one off. Select that. Oh. Select that. Select invert. Select the pasted image. Layer. Crop to selection. So here are the 4 pictures that we're going to use in our model. Now to get these into ping format, all we do is do what we did with the other ones. Turn off the layers that we don't want to export. File, export as, and we're going to call this photo 1. Now let's just make sure photo 1 went in the way I hoped it did. Excellent. Turn off that one, turn that one on. File, export. Photo 2. File, export. Photo 3. And finally, photo 4. Oh, I just overwrote photo 3. Ah! Okay, that's not a problem. Export. Photo 4. Turn that one off, come back here, and file, export. Send that back to photo 3. Replace, yes, and let it go. So now we have the 4 photographs scaled to our actual picture size. Now we want to see these in Blender to see what they're going to look like on the actual model when we export it. So before we leave here, we're going to want to come back and use this particular session of Gimp again to create our VTFs. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this one and we're going to file, save as, and we're going to call this one Deco XCF, and we're going to put it into that project folder. And we're going to pick up this one and we're going to do the same thing. File, save as, and we're going to call that pbadge new, and we're just going to save that into that project folder as well. so that now these are protected and ready for us to use again, and we can actually exit out of Gimp. Discard the changes. Now let's open Blender again. Load our project. Here's our textures that we have currently, and to have a look and see what this is going to look like, we're going to load up those images in the image editor. So split our screen again, change this to the image UV editor, image, open image, and we're going to select all 4 of those photos and open them. Now, and then we're also going to open file, image open, the actual photo badge ping, no, new, photo badge new ping. Open that one up. Okay, now with the object selected, go into the materials tab, select the material that you want to change, come into the textures tab, down here to what the source is, and just change the source. P badge new, accept. So now that UV is using this new picture. For the actual decal, I'm going to come into the materials tab, select the decal, and instead of loading the new image, I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to select that, scroll in so I can see it, and down here, because I loaded the images, photo 1, there's photo 1 on the picture, or on the model. N and T, and that doesn't look too bad. The reason why I went with 1024 by 1024 is because I wanted the resolution, and basically that's it. So let's load up another image. Open image, image 2, and there is that image as it would appear on our model. And again, image, open image, image 3, there's looking at you, and image, open image, photo 4, and there's our wolf. So that is how these pictures are going to look when we actually export the model and get it into Source Filmmaker. I could do, no I couldn't, I'd have to do a movie and make a image of the actual movie to show you what the animated GIF or what the animated VTF is going to look like, but I'm not going to go there with this particular session. We're probably running about 32 minutes now, and basically I'm just going to close that down because I don't want to save anything in that Blender file. And that's using Gimp to create images for existing UVs. Any questions on this? Leave comments in the description or in the comments area, and I'll try to get back to you when I can. With that, I'm going to say Private Jack out.